Okay, I'm going to show you 3 questions that most people miss on the test. And I forgot my Apple Pencil at school, so I'll be using my finger. So please excuse the messy writing. I'm going to try my best to teach you using just my finger. Okay, so one of the questions is, here, I'll write this down. Please feel free to take notes and replay the video if you need to. Okay, so we have 5p minus 14. That's going to be equal to 8p plus 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to solve for the okay, let me write this again. So we're going to solve for p. Okay, solve for p. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and since I like the number 8 because I don't want negative p, so I'm going to pick the right side. So first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by do additive inverse. I'm going to subtract 5p on both sides, okay, right here. Okay, all right, so that's gone. Okay, and please do get used to rewriting the equation every single time you change something, just so that you can keep track of your steps. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this as negative 14 equals, I know 8p minus 5p is 3p, that's plus 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my commutative property. I'm just going to switch the equation around. Okay, I'm going to write it as 3p plus 4 equals negative 14. Okay, so that looks a little prettier than before. So what I need to do now is I need to do additive inverse. So I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. Okay, all right, that should be 0, and this should be equal to negative 18. So I'm going to rewrite the whole thing as 3p equals negative 18. Okay, sorry for a different color. So now I do my final steps, which is I do multiplicative inverse, or I divide the coefficient. So divide both sides by 3. Okay, so that will end up x equal to, well, we know that's going to give me negative 6. So negative 6 will be the answer. Okay, if you are unsure that whether or not negative 6 is indeed the answer, you can always take negative 6 and just I'm sorry, what am I doing? This should be p. I'm sorry. Okay, it's same thing. Okay, same thing. Sorry. Here we go. It's the same thing. If you are going back, you ever want to double check it, just substitute p in place inside the original equation, and you should get an equation that makes sense. Okay, so here's the next one. This one is pretty straightforward, but it has distributive property, which you have to be very careful. So I have 2 times 4x minus 3 close parenthesis minus 8 equals 4 plus 2x. Okay, so you notice for this equation there's just one x. There's only one variable. So essentially you're solving for x. So first step is I'm going to distribute the 2 in this expression. So that's going to give me 8x minus 6 minus 8 equals 4 plus 2x. All right, so now I'm looking at the 2 variable here. Okay, but first what I can do is I can combine like terms just to make the equation a little more simple. So if I combine that, we'll have 2 negative number. That's going to give me negative 14. So I carry everything down. I do this because I want to keep track of all my steps. So 4 plus 2x. All right, so now you have this equation and you have to decide which variable are you going to solve for, the one on the right or the one on the left. In this case, you know what, since ax is bigger than 2 and I know I'm not going to have a negative x variable, I'm just going to go ahead and solve for my ax on the left. So first thing I do is I subtract 2x on both sides. As you may remember, that's called additive inverse. Subtract 2x on both sides. Rewrite the whole thing as 6x minus 14 equals 4, since that's gone. All right, so this looks a little nicer. All right, so now we was trying to solve for x and we have a constant, so we have to get rid of the constant, so we add the opposite, which is positive 14. That means 14 zero pair. Add those two together, that's gone. Let's rewrite the whole equation as 6x will be equal to 18. All right, So, and now we just simply divide the coefficient on both sides. By the way, the coefficient is always the number multiplying to the variable. So that's 6x equals 18 to divide by 6, divided by 6 on both sides. And ultimately, we're going to get x equals positive 3. There you go. Okay. All right. So the next one, pretty much 95% of people miss this question. So this is part of your homework. So please really work at it. Okay. Now we have two variables. All right. Check this out. So we have 11x minus 8y equals negative 48. Okay. And so this is the case where I'm solving for y. You have to really know what you're solving for. So in this case, I'm going to solve for y. Okay? All right, solve for y. Boom, just like that. All right? So which means I need to make this variable equal to something, because I need to solve for y. And that variable has to stand by itself. So I do what I do when I solve equation. I isolate the negative 8y first and foremost. So the first thing I need to do is I need to move this all the way over here. How do I do that? Well, do just opposite. So minus 11x on both sides. Minus 11x on both sides. So that's gone. All right. So now let's rewrite the whole thing as negative 8y equals, well, these two, since they're not alike terms, you can't combine them, so you just have to write them as part of the equation. So negative 11x minus 48. Notice I wrote the one with the variable first. Typically in algebra, we always write the term with the variable before we write the constant. So let me erase this. Okay. So now I'm looking at this one. I see that my coefficient is negative 8. So I divide the whole thing, including that term on the left, by negative 8. Now this is the part that a lot of people got confused, because you need to pay attention to the coefficient. Whatever. Oh, oops. That's pretty bad. How do I erase that? Whatever the coefficient is. All right. Let me change the color. Whatever the coefficient is, you're going to divide that by that term. Some of you will divide that by positive 8. No, the coefficient is negative 8. So you have to divide by negative 8. Okay. So once again, I'm going to move up. So that equals to positive 1. So I can just cross that out. So you have y equals, we know that when you divide this, you're going to get positive 11 over 8x. And this 8 goes to, am I doing that? Yeah, 8 goes to negative 8. It's going to give negative 48 divided by negative 8. Well, you know that's going to be positive 6. Okay, I don't even know why I have the positive here, but you get the picture. Okay, and now this is my final equation in terms of solving for y. Look, oh my god, that's pretty horrible. Okay, here we go. All right, so I finally solved for y. Notice the y stood by itself. Okay, all right. So now I'm gonna do another example, but I'm gonna do this example actually, but I'm gonna solve for x, and you're gonna see how it looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna rewrite this as 11x minus 8y equals negative 48. Okay, so now I want to solve for this term. Okay, so what do? I need to move this negative 8y over. So what do? I do the opposite. So what's the opposite of, of course, negative 8y? It's positive 8y. So I add positive 8y on both sides. Oh, let me erase this. You see how it's kind of difficult to write with a finger. Add 8y on both sides. Add 8y on both sides. Okay, so now that's gone. Okay, that's gone. So we rewrite the whole equation. My goodness, we rewrite the whole equation as 11x equals 8y minus 48. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So now you notice that I have to divide the coefficient, and the coefficient is 11. So I divide every single term on both sides of the equal sign by 11. So that's 11 over here, 11 over here, and 11 over there. All right. So we know on the left side this cancels out because it's equal to 1. So I can just rewrite that as x equal. Well, this one we can't really do much except we just keep as a fraction. So we write 8 over 11 y, or 8y over 11, same difference. And you're looking at this term, and 11 can't really be divided by 48. So I just keep it as is. I keep it as a fraction. I don't even bother putting that in mixed number. I just keep that as a fraction. And this is the final answer. And notice I solve for y. So it really depends what you are, I solve for x not a y, what the question is really asking you, okay? I hope that helps. I think you'll do great tomorrow. Just make sure you practice the worksheet, and tomorrow when you come, it'll be a quick quiz just so you guys can make up some points for your test, that your report card. The 5 weeks can look a lot better than what you had, okay? All right, thank you, good night.